My name is Logan Pierce. I'm 46 years old. And last month, I stood at my daughter's high school graduation party, thinking I was the proudest dad in the world, until she got on the microphone and gutted me in front of 50 people. But let's rewind. My daughter, Ava, had just turned 18, valedictorian, full-ride scholarship to State University. She's got her mom's drive and my stubborn streak sometimes for better, often for worse. The party was being hosted at my ex-wife's place. Olivia and I split when Ava was 7. But I never missed a weekend, never skipped a support payment, never flinched when it came to being her dad. Even when I wanted to scream, I stayed quiet for Ava's sake. Olivia remarried 4 years ago. Her husband, Trevor, is one of those guys who tries really hard to look rich. Designer belts with big logos. Bluetooth always in his ear. Acting like he's some real estate mogul when he mostly sells mid-tier properties in sketchy zip codes. He leases a Tesla, wears knockoff Rolexes, and posts fake hustle quotes online like he invented motivation. Whatever. I figured if he made Olivia happy and kept a roof over Ava's head, fine. I wasn't interested in relitigating old wounds. I just wanted to stay involved in my daughter's life. Over the years, I went above and beyond. Sure, the court ordered me to pay child support, but the $529 college savings plan I opened when Ava was born, that was all me. I added money to it every year. Birthdays, bonuses, tax returns. It all went into her future. By this year, the account had grown to just over $92. Ling. Ava knew about it. Olivia knew about it. It was our shared understanding this was Ava's college fund. But that wasn't all. I paid her phone bill, her car insurance, bought her first laptop, funded her dance lessons, even covered her senior trip to Paris when Olivia said it was too much of a splurge. Ava never had to ask twice. So when I showed up at the party with a Canon DSLR camera in hand, Ava's been getting into photography, I thought I'd nailed the perfect gift. Something useful, thoughtful, from the heart. The kind of gift a dad gives. The backyard was crowded. Streamers, fairy lights, folding tables with awkward uncles trying to be cool. Olivia was flitting around in a pastel dress that screamed trying too hard. And Trevor was busy making sure everyone saw the bartender he'd hired. About an hour in, I was chatting with one of Ava's old middle school teachers when Trevor tapped his champagne glass. Everyone quieted down. I figured he was about to toast Ava, which was fine. Until it wasn't. He draped an arm over her shoulders and said, "I just want to say how proud I am of this brilliant young woman. Ava, you've worked so hard. And you deserve every good thing coming your way." He then pulled out a set of keys from his pocket and jingled them high like he was tossing a bone to a crowd of dogs. "These keys belong to your brand new car. Go check the driveway. That Honda Civic is yours." Quito. Applause. Whoops. People clapped like they'd just witnessed a hallmark moment. Ava shrieked and hugged him like he'd cured cancer. I smiled. Avon clapped. I was annoyed he hadn't run it by me. Sure, but it was a nice gesture. Ava deserved a celebration. Then she picked up the microphone. I should have walked away right then. "Thank you so much, Trevor," she said, voice bright and confident. I used to wonder what it would feel like to have a father who really showed up. Someone who went above and beyond. Someone who believed in me. Not just in words, but with actions. The words were sharp, but I assumed she was being poetic. She wasn't. My stepdad bought me a car. Ava continued. He didn't have to. But he did. Because he sees me. Because he cares. And because he's always looking out for my future. She looked directly at me. My biological dad never did anything like this. I guess now I know what it means to have someone who chooses to invest in you. Silence. Flat. Heavy. Suffocating. Olivia stared at the ground like it had suddenly become interesting. Trevor stood there smirking like a man who just conquered his enemy without firing a shot. I stood frozen, holding the camera in a box. I no longer had any intention of unwrapping. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't defend myself. I walked up, gave Ava a hug, and whispered, "Congratulations. I'm proud of you." Then I walked out. Quiet. Dignified. Broken. The ride home was a blur of headlights and regrets. My hands clenched the wheel tighter than necessary. I played her speech in my head on repeat, each word sharper the second time. She had meant it. Planned it. That wasn't excitement. That was a performance. A message. Trevor's gift came with strings: public allegiance. Public humiliation. She gave him the credit. And threw me to the wolves. I got home. Saturday, down at my desk. Pulled up the 529 plan and stared at the number $92. 187. 49. That money was still mine legally. Technically. Emotionally. It had always been Ava's. Until tonight. I transferred every penny into my personal investment account. Then I called my insurance provider and removed Ava from my car policy effective end of the month. Same with her phone plan. She said Trevor was her real dad now. Perfect. Let him handle real dad responsibilities. That was Sunday. Wednesday. The car Trevor bought had been repossessed. Why? Because he didn't actually buy it. He co-signed on a loan where Ava was the primary borrower. The bank only approved it after listing me without my knowledge as a financial reference. Trevor had used my name, my income, my financial history. To secure a car, he had no intention of paying for long term. Once I told the bank I had no financial involvement, they got nervous. An 18-year-old with no job, no assets, no cosigner with valid income, that's not a loan. It's a gamble. The bank gave Trevor the choice: pay the balance or return the vehicle. And like any man pretending to be rich, he couldn't cover the bluff. By Thursday, the car was gone, towed from Olivia's driveway, and my phone started blowing up. The car was repossessed on a Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, Olivia called me no less than 8 times. I didn't answer. I let it ring out. Then finally responded with a single text. Best if Trevor handles this. He's her father now. Remember. An hour later, she showed up at my place uninvited, banging on my front door like the place was on fire. I opened it slowly. She was already mid-rant. You told the bank you wouldn't support Ava financially anymore. Are you kidding me? Logan. I leaned against the doorframe. Calm. Nope. Not kidding. Her mouth dropped open. They took her car. She's devastated. That's unfortunate, I said flatly. But you all made your choice pretty clear. She's 18. She got carried away during a speech. You're really going to ruin her future over one emotional moment. That wasn't a moment. Olivia. That was a performance. Ava looked me in the eye and said I never did anything for her. That Trevor was the real parent. I'm just giving her what she wants. A clean break. Olivia's voice lowered. But not from remorse, just strategy. She still needs that college fund. Not anymore. I said. That money's no longer available to her. Her eyes narrowed. You said that fund was hers. No. I said it was for her. I never said it belonged to her. And now I'll be using it elsewhere. Olivia threw up her hands. This is vindictive. No. This is consequences. For years, I played the silent supporter. Paid quietly. Showed up quietly. Now I'm stepping away quietly. That's not revenge. That's boundaries. She stormed off without another word. But it wasn't over. That night, Trevor called. Hey. Man. I think there's been a miscommunication. I cut him off. There's no miscommunication. Trevor. You used my financial records without my consent. That's fraud. I didn't use your has stumbled. I just listed you as a reference. That's normal. It's not normal when you didn't ask. Silence. Then he said, of us hurting. She feels abandoned. Good. Maybe now she knows what that feels like. That's harsh. You stood there grinning while she humiliated me in front of everyone. You let her do it. So now you get to be the dad she wanted. Start acting like one. He went quiet again. Then. You really won't help with college. Nope. Click. The next day, Ava called me for the first time since the party. Her voice cracked before she even said hello. Dad, why did you take my college money? I didn't say anything right away. Just let the silence stretch. She filled it. I didn't mean what I said at the party. She said. Voice shaking. It just came out wrong. It didn't come out. Ava. It was planned. You were looking at me the whole time. You wanted me to hear it. But I was just excited. I didn't think. No. You didn't. There was another long pause. Then Trevor said, you told the bank you won't support me anymore. That you made them take the car. I told the truth. That I'm no longer involved. The loan was based on lies. And now it's being treated accordingly. Trevor's trying to fix it. I almost laughed. Trevor can't fix anything. He's a poser. He wanted the credit but not the bill. And you let him. You stood on that deck and erased everything I ever did for you. You said he's the one who invested in your future. So let him handle it. You're punishing me. No. Ava. I'm stepping back. You chose Trevor as your father figure. Now live with it. She hung up. I stared at my phone for a while. Didn't cry. Didn't rage. Just felt empty. The kind of quiet that follows a long overdue storm. Over the next few days, the drama migrated to social media. Ava's friends were posting about how unfair I was being, how I abandoned her, how fathers should forgive daughters. No matter what. You know the type, Instagram wisdom from people who've never paid a bill in their life. But then my cousin Drew, who had been at the party, stepped in. He posted a full account of what happened. Word for word. The speech. The reaction. The silent shame Olivia wore. The smug grin Trevor never wiped off his face. He ended the post with one sentence. Ava didn't get caught up in the moment. She used the moment to cut her dad down in public. Don't be mad. He finally stood up. That post got over 700 shares. The tide shifted fast. Suddenly, people weren't so quick to call me a villain. Some even started messaging me privately, saying, "Good for you. or wish my dad had done what you did, said a line. Meanwhile, Ava got a job at a local diner, working double shifts. From what I heard, Olivia called again a few days later. She's exhausted, she said, voice softer, trying to save up for books and living expenses. Good for her, I said. That's called adulthood. Trevor can help with some of it, she added. But it's not enough. How much can he help with? He said maybe textbooks. A few supplies. I laughed. I couldn't help it. So the man who's investing in her future can swing $2,000 tops. He's trying. Logan. Trying isn't the same as doing. Logan. She's sorry. I believe that. But sorry doesn't undo what happened. Then what will? I paused. Time, I said. And maybe, just maybe, some genuine accountability. Until then, she's got exactly what she asked, for a new father. Let's see how far that gets her. Olivia didn't respond. Just hung up. And just like that, I was finally free. Not just financially. Emotionally. I stopped checking my phone for messages. Stopped rereading old photos or emails from school. I gave myself permission to stop performing a role for people who didn't want me in the cast. A week later, I got a postcard in the mail. Just 5 words. Handwritten, in uneven script. I miss you. Ava. No return address. No apology. No explanation. Just 5 words. I kept it. But I didn't write back. It had been about 2 weeks since the party. 2 weeks since the speech. The car. The fallout. I hadn't spoken to Ava again, not after the postcard. And then, one Sunday afternoon, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find her standing there. No makeup. No polished curls. Just Ava. In a wrinkled work polo. Dark circles under her eyes. And that particular kind of exhaustion that only comes from growing up overnight. Hey, she said softly. Can I come in? I stepped aside. We sat in the living room. She didn't even wait for me to offer her anything. She just looked down at her hands, twisting the corner of her sleeve like she used to when she was 5, and had something to confess. I know I messed up. She started. I didn't say anything. Just waited. She took a shaky breath. I shouldn't have said what I said at the party. I was trying to, I don't know, show Trevor I appreciated him, but it came out like I didn't appreciate you. Or worse, like I resented you. I raised an eyebrow. Did you? She looked up. Tears welling. No. I mean, God. Maybe a little. Sometimes. I guess I just got confused. Trevor made everything seem easy. He always had big gifts. Big words. You were always quiet. Practical. You didn't brag. I think I took that for granted. You didn't think I cared. She nodded slowly. I knew you did. Deep down. But in the moment, I wanted to believe Trevor was the hero. And now I know better. I sat forward. Do you? She met my eyes. I do. I know Trevor's broke. I know he can't help with school. He said he'd figure it out. But he hasn't. He panicked after the car got repossessed and told Mom he might have to sell his watch. Except the watch is fake. That made me snort. She smiled a little. But it faded quickly. I got approved for a couple of small student loans. But they won't cover everything. I'm working extra shifts. I'm trying. Why come to me now? I asked. To fix it. She shook her head. No. I mean, I hoped maybe you'd reconsider. But mostly I came to say I'm sorry. Really sorry. I was cruel. And I let someone use me to hurt you. I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed to say it. For the first time, I saw her not as the little girl I'd raised, but as the young woman she was trying to become. Honest. Humbled. Hurting. Still. I wasn't ready to just let it go. Do you have any idea? I said quietly. What it felt like to be erased by your own daughter. Her eyes filled instantly. Yes. She whispered. Because that's how I feel now. Like I let the one person who actually stood by me just disappear. Silence hung between us for a minute. Then I asked, do you know how much I've spent on you over the years? She blinked. Confused. Just ballpark it. I said, all the child support. The insurance. Your phone. Trips. Gifts. The college fund. What do you think it adds up to? I don't know. She murmured. 100,000. Closer to 200. I said, because I didn't just pay support. I invested. Quietly. Without asking for praise. Without needing a stage or a microphone. She looked down again. I know. I see that now. I nodded. Good. Because here's the thing. Ava. You can say you're sorry. And I believe you. But you also have to live with the consequences of what you said. Actions don't just vanish when regret shows up. I understand. I'm not punishing you. I'm holding you accountable. I'm not your bank. I'm your father. And there's a difference. She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her polo. I just feel so stupid. She whispered. You're not stupid. I said, you're young. You got swept up in someone else's idea of success. And now you're paying for it. Do you hate me? She asked. That broke me. I shook my head immediately. No. Never. But I was hurt. Deeply. And I had to protect myself the only way I could by stepping back. We sat in silence for a few minutes. The kind of silence that says more than words ever could. Finally, she asked. So, what now? You work. You study. You build your own future. One you can be proud of. And maybe someday, we find our way back to something better. But for now, you stand on your own 2 feet. She nodded. It was the hardest nod I've ever seen someone give. I will. I walked her to the door. Before she left, she turned to me and said, I meant what I wrote on the postcard. I do miss you. I gave her a small smile. I miss you too. Then she left. And I stood at the door for a long time afterward, wondering if this was the start of something new, or just the end of something that once was. By the time the 3rd week rolled around, Trevor's shiny image had officially cracked, and it wasn't just behind closed doors anymore. It started small. A vague post from Olivia's cousin Melissa on Facebook. Not all family men are what they seem. Funny how fast leased cars and fake watches disappear when the bills come due. That was subtle. Passive-aggressive. But then Ava's best friend Haley, who had kept mostly quiet, posted a thread on Twitter that lit the whole thing on fire. She recapped the graduation party speech. Ava's car being repossessed. The fake loan Trevor co-signed. And how my financial information had been used without consent. She even ended the thread with screenshots Ava had shared privately texts between her and Trevor that showed how he'd coached her speech to make it impactful and really sell the moment. One tweet read, Trevor told her, "Make it emotional. People remember big moments." She didn't know she was walking into a PR stunt. Overnight, it went viral. Over 10. Zero likes. Hundreds of comments. Some people mocked Trevor's real estate king bio on Instagram. Others dragged Olivia for allowing it. By Thursday, Trevor had deleted all his social media accounts. I didn't say a word. Not online. Not in person. Just watched. And you know what? It felt damn good. Because for once, I wasn't the one being talked about like I was disposable. For once, people were seeing through the mask. But it didn't stop there. Apparently, Trevor's brokerage firm started getting calls from clients asking whether their agent, who publicly bragged about buying a car for his stepdaughter, was financially stable enough to be managing their investments. Turns out, he wasn't. Word got around that he was behind on property taxes for the rental he owned. That he was maxed out on 3 credit cards. That he'd leveraged a personal loan to cover the down payment on that Civic, the one now sitting in a repo lot in Southfield. Olivia called me on Friday night. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. Logan. I don't know what to do. Everything's falling apart. Ava's devastated. Trevor's been yelling at her, saying she embarrassed him. She's back to working every night. I don't know how to help her. Help her? You had your chance. I wanted to say, but I didn't respond. Instead, I got a text the next morning. From Trevor. It read, Logan, can we talk man to man? The audacity. I waited a few hours before I responded. You want to talk? Call me when you're ready to admit what you did. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Okay. He started. Voice low. I messed up. I'll admit that. Define messed up. I overpromised. I got caught up in the moment. I thought Ava deserved something big. And maybe I let that get to my head. You manipulated her. I said. I wouldn't go that far. You coached her speech. You used my name for a loan. You smiled while she humiliated me. And you didn't correct her once. I didn't think it would snowball like this. Well, it did. He sighed heavily. Look. Man. I don't have a lot of options right now. My firm's probably going to suspend me. Olivia's furious. Ava won't talk to me. I thought I was helping. You wanted the spotlight? You got it. Turns out, it burns. Silence. I can't afford her school stuff. He admitted. I was hoping you'd consider at least helping with books. Or meal plans. Something. I almost laughed. So let me get this straight. You tried to replace me in her life. You let her erase me publicly. You set her up with a loan she couldn't afford. And now that it's all blowing up, you want me to step back in and fix it. He didn't answer. I shook my head. Nah. Trevor. You had your shot. She chose you. Now be the man you pretended to be. I hung up. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. But Sunday, Ava texted me again. Can I stop by later? I just need some clarity. When she arrived, she looked more tired than before, but this time, there was something else in her eyes. Resentment. Not toward me. Toward him. She sat down, pulled out her phone, and showed me the messages. Screenshots of Trevor calling her ungrateful, immature, accusing her of ruining his reputation. He said I made him look like a fool. She whispered. I looked at her. Did you? No. He did that on his own. I was just the puppet. I didn't realize it until it was too late. That's how manipulators work. They wrap their lies in love and call it protection. She nodded. I wish I'd never given that speech. I didn't say anything. She needed to sit with that truth. Then she said something I didn't expect. I want to make it right. How? Publicly. I'm going to post my side. Not for attention. For clarity. I want people to know you were there all along. Ava, I said gently. You don't owe anyone online a performance. I know, she said. But I owe you the truth. That afternoon, she posted her own thread. Honest. Vulnerable. She admitted to being coached. To being manipulated. She apologized for how she treated me and thanked me for everything I'd done without ever needing a spotlight. It didn't go viral. But it reached the right people. Her friends messaged her privately. Teachers sent her encouragement. Even Olivia commented, "Proud of your growth." A week later, Trevor moved out. Ava told me he left a note, blaming toxic family dynamics and online bullying for the collapse of everything. Of course he did. Blame everyone but himself. Trevor was gone. Just like that. He packed his things into his leased Tesla, drove away, and left behind a paper-thin apology on the dining room table. Something about needing space and a hostile environment, and how the pressure had become too much. Olivia told Ava he moved in with a coworker for now. No one was surprised. What did surprise me? I didn't feel triumphant. Not really. I thought I'd be thrilled to see Trevor crash. To watch his house of cards finally tumble. But once it actually happened, all I felt was clarity. It wasn't about revenge anymore. This wasn't about getting even. This was about getting free. And for the first time in years, I finally was. A few days after Trevor left, Olivia called me again. I didn't ignore it this time. Logan, she said quietly. Thank you. I was taken aback. For what? For not rubbing it in? For not posting about it? For being better than we were? I didn't respond right away. Then I've never wanted to hurt you, Olivia. I just wanted to protect myself. She sighed. You did. You protected your peace. I didn't think that was possible. It was the closest thing to accountability I'd ever heard from her. And honestly, I appreciated it. She cleared her throat. Ava's doing okay. All things considered. She picked up more hours at the diner. And she applied for a mentorship program through the university. If she gets it, they'll cover part of her room and board. That's great, I said. And meant it. She's really trying. Logan. I nodded. I can see that. Then came the pivot. I know we've done a lot of damage, but I wanted to ask if maybe there's any chance you'd reconsider the college fund, even part of it. Not for me. Not for Trevor. Just for her. She didn't sound pushy. Just tired. Honest. And it made me pause. That night, I sat with my old spreadsheets. I opened up the 529 plan archive. The documents where I'd tracked every contribution, every deposit made from birthdays, bonuses, freelance projects, $20 here. $200 there. Every dollar was logged. Traced. Accounted for. 92,000 and change. Still, sitting in my personal investment account. Untouched. Originally. That money had a name on it. Ava. Then, she cut me out of her life. Or maybe I let her. Now things had changed. Not perfectly. Not magically. But enough. And the truth was, I wanted to help her. But I needed to do it on my terms. We met at a local coffee shop that Saturday. Neutral territory. Ava was already seated at a corner table when I arrived. Hands wrapped around a mug of chamomile tea, like it was the only thing holding her together. She smiled when she saw me. Not the fake smile. Not the I need something grin. A real one. Tired. But real. Thanks for meeting me, she said. Of course. After some small talk, her job, her new roommate situation, and how she was managing classes, I finally brought up the subject. I've been thinking about the college fund. Her shoulders stiffened. Okay, I continued. I'm not going to pretend what happened didn't hurt. It did. Deeply. But I've also seen you grow since then. Take accountability. Make hard choices. So I'm open to revisiting the support, but it comes with conditions. She nodded slowly. Fair. Number 1. I said. You don't get it all at once. No lump sums. I'll pay directly to the university tuition. Books. Essentials. Not luxury items. Not flights to Cancun or trendy backpacks that cost more than my first car. Totally fair. She said. Number 2. You send me updates every semester. Not to brag. Just to stay connected. You don't have to get straight A's. But you do have to show you're committed. She smiled. Okay. And number 3, we start rebuilding. Slowly. You don't get to call me Dad when you need something and ignore me the rest of the time. If we're doing this, we do it together. That one hit her. Her eyes welled up. I want that. She said. Not just the help. You. I miss having you in my life. I nodded. Then let's start there. The first transfer went through that Monday tuition and meal plan for the fall semester. I didn't tell anyone. No announcements. No, look what a great dad I am posts. Just key it support. Like always. But this time, something was different. Ava didn't disappear. She texted me photos from campus. Sent me a picture of her dorm with her messy desk and string lights. She emailed me her class schedule and asked for advice about time management. She even called one night just to ask how I was doing. And slowly, things started to feel normal again. Not the old normal. A new one. One built on honesty. Not obligation. About 3 weeks into the semester, Ava messaged me a link to a video. Watch this when you have time. No pressure. She wrote. It was a short video her media class had produced, student intros. Personal stories. Little glimpses into their lives. Her clip came near the end. She stood in front of a campus mural. Holding her camera. My name's Ava Pierce. I'm majoring in communications. Minoring in photography. And this is for the person who taught me what real investment looks like: quiet. Consistent. No strings attached. This is for my father. Not the one who showed off. The one who showed up? I didn't cry. Not right away. But when it ended, I watched it again. And this time, I did. Fall rolled in slowly that year. The leaves turned gold. The days got shorter. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't dread my quiet house. The silence didn't feel empty anymore. It felt earned. Ava kept her promise. She sent updates every few weeks. A short message. A selfie from class. A photo of her study group. A random shot of her latte with a "Miss" you tucked at the end. I didn't respond every time. I wanted her to have space. But I saved everyone. And just like that, the tension between us dissolved. Not with one dramatic gesture, but through steady, quiet connection. It was almost poetic. Really. The same way I had loved her all those years without spectacle was the way we found our way back to each other. One evening, in early December, I got a letter in the mail. A real one. Handwritten. No return address. But I recognized the handwriting immediately. It was from Ava. Inside was a folded sheet of paper and a photograph, an old one of her at maybe 9 or 10, sitting on my shoulders at the state fair. Cotton candy in her hand. Pure joy on her face. The letter read, "Dad, I know texting is faster. And I say things to you on the phone now that I couldn't say months ago. But I needed to write this. Really write it. Thank you for staying. Through the years. Through the hurt. Through the silence I didn't realize was hurting you until it was too late. I see it now. Everything you did. Not for attention. Not for credit. But just because you loved me. I'm learning what that means. Slowly. But I am. This picture, I don't even remember who took it, but it feels like everything I lost when I stopped seeing you. And everything I want to get back. Thank you for still believing in me. Love always. Ava." I sat on the couch holding that letter like it was made of glass. For a moment, I didn't know what to do with it. Then I stood up, walked to the hallway, and pinned it to the corkboard next to the thermostat, right where I'd see it every morning. By January, Ava had earned a spot in the campus media lab, helping edit video content for the university's online programs. Paid position. Good experience. She was proud. And I was proud of her. More importantly, she was proud for the right reasons. She stopped trying to impress people who weren't invested. She stopped seeking applause from people who only showed up for the spotlight. She was figuring it out. One day, during a phone call, she asked me something I didn't expect. "Dad, can I ask you a weird question?" "Always." I said. She hesitated. "Why didn't you fight back? At the party. When I said all that stuff. Why didn't you call me out? Say something." I paused. Then told her the truth. Because it wouldn't have changed anything in that moment. You were already gone. And I knew if I pushed, you'd just push back harder. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said softly, "I think that's what hurt the most. You didn't fight. You just walked away." "I wasn't walking away from you," I said. "I was walking away from the person you were pretending to be. And waiting for you to come back." She cried after that. But this time, they weren't angry tears. They weren't guilt-ridden or manipulative. They were just real. Human. Honest. And that meant everything. In the spring, she came home for a weekend visit. No fanfare. No forced dinners. Just a short stay. A movie night. A walk with the dog. She asked if I still had her camera, the Canon I'd bought and never gave her that day. I did. Still in the box. Still wrapped. I gave it to her. No big moment. Just a simple handoff across the kitchen counter. She smiled. You held on to this. I nodded. Some things are worth holding on to. She hugged me then tight. The kind of hug that doesn't ask for forgiveness but gives it anyway. And then, on her last night home, she asked one final question. Do you still have the college fund? I chuckled. I told you. We used most of it already. She smirked. Yeah. But there was some left. Right. I raised an eyebrow. Why? Well, I got this idea. Something I want to do this summer. She pulled out her phone and showed me a web page, an application for a community photojournalism internship in Ecuador. Small town reporting. Real stories. No frills. No glamour. Just people. Connection. Storytelling. She would need to cover the airfare. Equipment insurance. Some living expenses. Not asking you to fund all of it. She added quickly. I've got savings. But if there's a little left, and you think it's worth it? I didn't even let her finish. I'll handle it. I said. You go chase the story. She grinned. Thanks. Dad. Ava flew out in June. She's still there now, sending photos from muddy roads and wide smiles. Her texts are shorter these days, but more meaningful. She doesn't say sorry anymore. She says, thank you. She says, guess what I learned today, she says. You were right. And for the first time in a long time, I say, I know. So what's the takeaway? I don't know if there's just one. Sometimes, the people we love most will break our hearts, not because they hate us, but because they don't know who they are yet. Sometimes, the loudest applause comes from people who disappear when things get hard. Sometimes, being a father means doing nothing, just standing still while someone figures out how far they've wandered. And sometimes, grace doesn't come from a grand apology. It comes from the quiet rebuilding of trust. Avamade a mistake. But she owned it. And that matters more than pretending it never happened. As for me, I've still got the investment account. It's smaller now. Sure, but I'm okay with that. I'm looking at boats again. Nothing fancy. Just something I can take out on the weekends. Maybe someday Ava will come with me. Maybe we'll sit side by side with our cameras. Watching the water. Telling stories. No microfones. No spotlights. Just real moments. The kind that don't need an audience. Only each other. Story 2. I never thought I'd be here. Writing these words. Yet here we are, the story of how my own brother stabbed me in the back worse than anyone else ever could. How he mistook my kindness for weakness. Humiliated me. And thought he'd get away with it. He was dead wrong. Let me take you back to where it all began. Jake and I grew up inseparable partners in crime through scraped knees and backyard adventures. But as we hit our teens, something changed. Jake slipped effortlessly into that golden child role, straight A's. MVP of every team. Our parents' undying pride. Meanwhile, I morphed into the responsible one, the fixer. The peacemaker. The sidekick standing in the shadows. Still, I loved him. I wanted to show him I cared. To be the sister he could lean on. So when he and his fiancée Emily confided their dream wedding was slipping out of reach, I stepped up. Not help pay half up, but cover every expense from the venue to the flowers, the catering to the dress. It was a hefty gift. But what's a little money if it makes your brother's big day perfect? Right. At first, everyone praised me. Jake was ecstatic. Emily cried happy tears. Mom and Dad couldn't stop gushing about my generosity. For once, I felt seen. Then planning started, and the cracks showed. My role in their celebration became nebulous. Vague comments. Vague timelines. I brushed it off as wedding stress. Until one evening, a month before the big day, I got Emily's text. "Hey, we've decided to keep things small and intimate. No call. No thank you. Just a one-sentence drop." My heart sank. Small and intimate meant my name was wiped from the guest list. My gift erased. No seating chart. No acknowledgement. Nothing. Naturally, I confronted them. I reminded Jake of my promise. I'd funded everything. His answer: an awkward shrug and a weak apology. Emily offered, "We're just trying to save money." Suddenly, I was the villain for expecting a modicum of gratitude. So here's what happened next. I pulled every receipt, sent them a line item, invoice item number 1, my sister's pride. Item number 2, my generosity. I reminded them it wasn't charity, it was a gift between siblings, a labor of love. And they owed me, at the very least, respect. Jake's face went stone cold. Emily clicked red on my message and vanished. Wedding invitations went out omitting my address. My parents, awkward silence, pretending everything was fine. In that moment, something inside me snapped. I realized I'd been the family's safety net for too long, absorbing every slight and keeping the peace. But peace, at the expense of my dignity, no thanks. I sent Jake one final text. "I hope your wedding is everything you dreamed of. But know this family means mutual respect. I'll be celebrating with Emily, as a guest. And you're on your own." He tried begging me to stay, pulling at old memories. But I stood firm. I deleted the payment info from my account. I RSVP'd, yes. But on my terms. I'd arrive solo, hand him my gift in person, and watch him face the guests who'd heard my side of the story. Because kindness without boundaries is just weakness in disguise. And I'm done hiding in the shadows. Jake thought he could humiliate me and get away with it. He was very, very wrong. "We hope you understand. Thanks again for everything." I read the message 3 times, thinking I must have misunderstood. I wasn't invited to a wedding I was paying for. I immediately called Jake. He didn't answer. So I texted him, asking what was going on. Hours passed before he finally responded. "Look, we just don't think you fit the vibe of the wedding. It's nothing personal. Hope you're not mad." Not mad. I was fuming. My own brother had the audacity to take my money, planned his dream wedding, and then tell me I wasn't good enough to be there. I needed answers that I called our parents, expecting them to be outraged. But when my mom picked up, her response made my stomach drop. "Oh, honey, just let it go. It's their special day. You don't want to make things awkward, do you?" I couldn't believe it. They knew. They knew. And they didn't care that. That's when I realized I was on my own. And that's when I decided if they wanted a wedding without me, well, they weren't going to have a wedding at all. I sat there staring at my phone, my mind racing. I had spent months watching Jake and Emily plan this wedding, offering advice when asked, covering deposits, and making sure everything was perfect for them. I had gone above and beyond to ensure they had the most magical day possible. And now, after all that, I wasn't even invited. Not only that, but the way they dismissed me like I was some distant acquaintance instead of family made my blood boil. I could have understood if there were budget restrictions or a venue capacity issue. But I was literally the one funding everything. There was no excuse. I needed time to process what had just happened. I put my phone down and sat in silence for a long time. At first I felt hurt. Crushed even. But as the minutes ticked by, that sadness hardened into something else. Something sharper. They thought they could use me. They thought they could get away with it. They were wrong to tee that moment. I knew I wasn't going to let this slide. But I wasn't about to throw a tantrum or beg them to reconsider. No. That's exactly what they expected me to do. Instead, I was going to be smart about this. I started by gathering all the information I had since I had paid for everything. I still had access to the contracts, the venue, the catering, the florist, the photographer. I had been the primary point of contact for most of these services. And since the payments had come from my account, that meant one very important thing. Everything was still in my name. A slow, calculated plan started forming in my mind. The wedding was still a few weeks away. That meant I had time. Time to make sure that when the big day arrived, things wouldn't go exactly as Jake and Emily had planned. But first, I needed to do some digging. I started scrolling through social media, looking at their posts about the wedding. Sure enough, their small and intimate guest list wasn't so small after all. Dozens of people were commenting about how excited they were to attend friends, extended family members, even co-workers. So I didn't fit the vibe, but all these people did. That was all the confirmation I needed. I took a deep breath, pulled up my emails, and started making a few phone calls. First on the list, the venue. I picked up the phone and dialed the venue's number. A polite woman answered. "Hello. This is Willow Crest Events. How can I assist you?" I kept my tone calm and professional. "Hi. I'm calling regarding the upcoming wedding for Jake and Emily on the 17th. I'm actually the one who made the booking, and I need to discuss some changes." "Of course," she said. "What changes would you like to make?" I paused for a moment, letting the anticipation build in my own mind. "Actually, I'd like to cancel the booking entirely." There was a short silence before she responded. "Oh, I see. Just to confirm you're the one who made the payment and signed the contract." "Correct. That's right," I said. "The contract is under my name, and since I won't be attending the wedding, I've decided to withdraw my support. I understand there's a cancellation fee, but that's fine." She hesitated. "Well, since you're the contract holder, you do have the right to cancel. However, the deposit is non-refundable." "That's completely fine," I assured her. "Just go ahead and process the cancellation. Also, please make sure that any communication regarding this comes directly to me. I don't want anyone else making changes on my behalf." She agreed. And, after a few minutes of confirmation, the venue was officially cancelled. Point one down. I hung up the phone, already feeling a wave of satisfaction wash over me. But I wasn't done yet. Next up, the catering. Jake and Emily had planned an extravagant menu. Multiple courses, an open bar, and a beautiful cake. They had raved about it for months. But once again, I was the one who had paid for it. I called the catering company and repeated the same process. Hello. I'm calling regarding an upcoming event I booked for Jake and Emily. Unfortunately, there's been a change of plans and I need to cancel the catering services. The woman on the other end asked if I was sure. We're just a couple of weeks out, so there will be a cancellation fee. I understand. I cut in smoothly. Go ahead and cancel everything. After a few minutes, it was done. The caterers were no longer preparing anything for the wedding point to downed. I smirked. But I wasn't finished. The florist, the photographer, the decorations. I went down the list one by one, canceling everything. Each call felt like reclaiming a piece of my dignity. Like I was undoing every ounce of manipulation Jake and Emily had tried to pull on me by the time I was finished. The entire wedding had been reduced to nothing but an empty venue, one that they no longer even had access to. Now all that was left was to sit back and wait. Jake and Emily had no idea what was coming. The days leading up to the wedding were eerily quiet. Jake and Emily hadn't reached out to me at all, which told me one thing. They were completely unaware that their entire wedding had just been erased. I had to admit, there was a small part of me that wondered when they would figure it out. The venue, the catering, the decorations. Surely someone had contacted them by now. Right. But know that I wasn't going to warn them. I wasn't going to give them a single hint. Instead, I waited. Then the night before the wedding, my phone rang. It was my mother. I debated letting it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. Dad. I answered with a casual, "Hey." Mom. The first thing I heard was chaos. Shouting, panicked voices. My mother's sharp, breathless tone. "What did you do?" I leaned back in my chair, a satisfied smirk creeping onto my face. "I don't know what you mean." "Don't play dumb," she snapped. "Jake just called me. He went to check on the venue and everything is gone. No decorations. No tables. No sit-up. Nothing." The staff told him the booking was cancelled. I feigned surprise. Wow. That's weird. Maybe he should ask whoever actually planned the wedding. Silence. Then she spoke again. Quieter this time. "You cancelled everything. Didn't you?" I didn't even hesitate. Of course I did. I paid for it. It was in my name. And since I wasn't invited, I figured, why should I pay for something I'm not welcome at? There was a sharp inhale on the other end. "You ruined your brother's wedding." "No." I corrected my voice. Calm. He ruined it the moment he decided to cut me out after taking advantage of me. I just made sure he faced the consequences. Another voice broke through the chaos in the background. "Jake," he was yelling at someone, furious. "What do you mean? We have no food. The caterer cancelled." What the hell is going on? I could practically hear his world crumbling. I checked the time. The wedding was supposed to start in less than 12 hours. Guests would be arriving soon. Expecting a lavish event, but they would be walking into nothing. I almost felt, but almost done. My mother was still sputtering in disbelief. You really did this?" "Yes," I said simply, "and I don't regret it." Before she could say another word, I hung up. Now all that was left was to see how the disaster unfolded. The morning of the wedding arrived, and I could already imagine the sheer panic unfolding at the venue. Jake and Emily must have shown up expecting a picture-perfect setup, only to find a cold, empty space. No chairs. No flowers. No food. No music. just an expensive hollow room with nothing inside. I poured myself a cup of coffee and scrolled through my phone. Waiting, and then, like clockwork, the messages started pouring in. Jake texted, "What did you do? You ruined everything. I hope you're happy." Emily texted, "You are beyond selfish. You knew how important this day was for us." I took my time before responding, sipping my coffee as I typed back a single message. "I wasn't invited. Remember, didn't seem like you wanted my involvement. So I just followed your lead." Silence. For a while at least. Then my phone rang. Jake thought I let it ring out. It rang again and again. Finally, after the fourth time, I picked up. "Let me guess," I said dryly. "Something wrong with the wedding." His voice was shaking with rage. "Do you have any idea what you've done? People are arriving in a few hours. There's nothing here. No food. No chairs. No flowers. Oh. Wow. That sounds terrible," I said, feigning concern. "Maybe you should ask the person who actually planned the wedding." "Oh. Wait. That was me." He let out a sharp breath. "You did this on purpose." "Of course I did. I said you expected me to pay for everything and then just accept being tossed aside like I was nothing. You used me, Jake. And you thought I'd just take it." I could hear Emily's voice in the background. Panicked. Speaking to someone else. "Can we get another caterer, anything?" A second voice answered. "Not at this notice. Everything's booked solid." I could practically hear the blood draining from her face. Jake's voice dropped to a desperate whisper. "Please. We can fix this if we just get the venue back." "Maybe we can." I cut him off. The venue was my contract. Remember? And they were fully booked for months. So, yeah. That's not happening. He let out a strained breath. And for the first time, there was something in his voice that hadn't been there before. Panicked. If I let that silence linger, savoring the moment. Then, just as I was about to hang up, I gave him one final parting shot. "Next time, don't take advantage of people who actually care about you." And then I hung up. But the story wasn't over yet, because what happened next was even better. I sat back, my fingers still lingering on the phone screen. A feeling of satisfaction spreading through me. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I had control of the situation. Jake and Emily's little world was about to collapse, and I was going to watch it all unfold from the sidelines, knowing I'd played my part. But the real chaos started to hit as the morning wore on. I started receiving messages from friends and family members who had been invited to the wedding. "Aunt Karen. 8:05 a.m. What the hell is going on? I just got to the venue and it's like a ghost town." Uncle Ray. 8:12 a.m. Hey. We got here early for the wedding. There's no one here. Did they cancel? What's going on? The more I read, the more the gravity of the situation hit me. It wasn't just Jake and Emily who were affected. This was spiraling out of their control. And people were starting to talk. That I had to admit, part of me felt a little gleeful. But that feeling quickly shifted as I realized the scale of the disaster. All of their friends, their family. None of them had any idea that this was coming. I began to feel the slightest pang of guilt. These weren't just strangers. These were people I knew. People who had come from out of town. People who had taken time off work to celebrate the wedding. Sure, Jake and Emily had treated me like a doormat. But was this really fair to the rest of the guests? Then again, I couldn't help but remember how they had treated me. How Emily had laughed when I suggested I be part of the planning process. How Jake had made comments about me not fitting the vibe of the wedding. They deserved to feel this. I checked my phone again, and the messages kept coming in, and Karen texted there trying to fix it. They said the caterers are on their way now. But the venue is still empty. "What's going on?" Uncle Ray texted. "Everyone is starting to leave. No one knows what's going on." "Dad." I couldn't help it. I had to respond. I replied, "I heard the wedding was going great. Such a shame. But hey, I'm sure it'll work out. Maybe they'll find some food or a chair somewhere." It was petty. I knew. But it was so satisfying to watch the mess ripple through the family. Why now I was starting to realize something. This wasn't just about getting back at Jake and Emily. This was about something bigger. Something that had been building for years. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how much of my life I'd spent putting up with their selfishness. The more I thought about everything I had done for them, only for them to disregard me at the first opportunity. And now they were reaping what they had sown. But the icing on the cake was still to come. The day dragged on. I kept checking my phone, watching the disaster unfold from the comfort of my apartment. The messages kept coming in from family, and at first they were all filled with confusion. But soon the tone shifted. Aunt Karen texted, "I'm hearing rumors that the wedding is officially cancelled. No catering. No setup. Everything just gone." Uncle Ray texted, "I think they've called off the whole thing. Everyone's heading home. This is crazy. Is this real?" I couldn't help but smile at how quickly things were unraveling. The idea of Jake and Emily having to explain this to everyone. How it was supposed to be the happiest day of their lives. And now it was a full-blown catastrophe. Was so satisfying. But as the day went on, something unexpected started happening. Jake and Emily's calls became more frequent, more frantic. At first I ignored them, but then I saw the desperate text from Emily. Emily texted, "Please just tell me you didn't cancel everything. I'll beg you. I'll do anything." Her tone was raw, pleading. She wasn't the smug, self-righteous Emily I knew anymore. Now she was just someone desperate for help. But why should I give it to her? Why should I be the one to fix the mess that was entirely of their making? Still, I didn't answer immediately. I just let her stew in her panic. Then, about an hour later, Jake texted me. Jake texted, "We're getting married at City Hall today. We need you to help with the venue and food. I'm sorry for everything I said. Please. You're the only one who can fix this now." The irony wasn't lost on me. They literally fired me from the wedding weeks ago. And now they were begging me to clean up their mess. I could feel the tension building in my chest. Was I really going to just let them scramble around, realizing the full weight of their mistake? Or was it time for me to finally take the upper hand? I couldn't resist that. I replied, "It's a bit too late for that. Don't you think maybe you should have treated me like family instead of some second-rate guest? You could toss aside that silence in a response and then..." Just as I was about to close my phone, the call came in. Jake's voice was quieter this time, almost defeated. "Look, we're sorry. We're really sorry. But the venue won't let us rebook it, and there's no one else to turn to for the catering. Please. Please help us." I could hear the panic in his voice. But there was something else too. Something else was happening. Something I hadn't anticipated. They were desperate. But so was I. As I listened to Jake's shaky voice, I felt a tug of something unfamiliar. a sense of power. Dear. He was pleading with me for help. After everything they'd put me through, after all the dismissive comments, the exclusion, the way they treated me as though I were invisible, part of me wanted to hang up, walk away, and leave them to face the consequences of their actions. They deserved it, didn't they? They had been selfish, manipulative, and ungrateful. And now they were finally feeling the sting of their own choices. But there was something else. Something darker. That I couldn't ignore. I had always been the one to clean up the messes they made. Always the one who gave without getting anything back. I had spent years being the quiet one. The one who didn't rock the boat. Who kept my feelings to myself. But this time I wasn't going to fix their mess. Not unless I got something in return. Jake? I said slowly. My voice measured cold. I'll help. But you're going to owe me big time. And I'm not talking about the money you promised me. There was a long pause. What do you mean? His voice was low. Almost too afraid to ask. I mean, I said, letting the weight of my words settle. You're going to have to make things right. No more treating me like a nobody. No more excluding me. No more pretending I'm not important to this family. You're going to owe me respect from now on. And you're going to make it clear to everyone that I'm not just the one you use when things go wrong. There was silence again. I could almost hear the wheels turning in Jake's head. As if he were weighing the value of his pride against the very real situation he was in. Finally, he spoke. I can do that. I'll tell everyone. Just please help us. We need you. That was all I needed. The satisfaction of knowing they were cornered, that they had no choice but to admit they needed me. I'll get things together, I said, a sense of finality in my voice. But remember this moment. You don't get to treat people like trash and expect them to always pick up the pieces. I hung up, feeling a rush of satisfaction. The venue was ready to be set up again. But now there were terms, and the real payoff was going to come. When I got to see the look on their faces when they realized what had happened. But as I prepared to head over, one final message came through. Emily texted, "Please. We'll be forever grateful. Please make this right that." I paused before responding, taking a moment to savor the power I now had over them. I replied, "You'll be grateful when I say you will be. See you at City Hall." With that, I left my apartment ready to make my way to the wedding. The stage was set, and now it was time for the final act. But there was still one thing I hadn't expected: how this would all end when I arrived at City Hall. The atmosphere was far from what you'd expect for a wedding. There was a sense of awkwardness hanging in the air, as if everyone knew something wasn't right, but couldn't quite put their finger on it. The small crowd gathered in the lobby looked uncomfortable, standing in clusters, whispering among themselves. Jake and Emily were standing by the front desk, looking more like two people who had just been through a war, than a couple about to get married. They saw me as soon as I entered, their faces lighting up in a mixture of relief and nervousness. "Thank you for coming," Emily said, her voice shaky. "We really appreciate it." She looked at me, almost pleading like I was some sort of savior. Jake, ever the prideful one, didn't say much. He just nodded, his eyes avoiding mine, as if he couldn't quite bring himself to admit how badly they had messed up. I walked toward them slowly, taking in the tension that filled the room. There were no flowers, no grand decorations. Just a sterile room with a few chairs and a judge standing at the front. It felt more like a courtroom than a wedding venue. I approached the small group of guests who had been invited. They all gave me tentative smiles. But no one was exactly thrilled to be there. Everyone had expected a wedding fit for a celebration. But instead, they were left in an uncomfortable limbo, unsure of what was going on or why everything had been cancelled. As I took my seat, I couldn't help but feel a little glee in the pit of my stomach. This was it. Jake and Emily had built their whole day around their carefully crafted image of the perfect wedding. And now it was crumbling in front of them. The ceremony began. The judge went through the usual formalities. But no one was truly paying attention. Emily kept glancing at me, hoping for some sign that everything was going to turn out okay. Jake, on the other hand, seemed to be stewing in his own frustration, no doubt cursing the day he had ever pushed me away. But then, just as the vows were being exchanged, something unexpected happened. The door to the room opened and a familiar face stepped in. The catering manager from the venue where the original wedding was supposed to take place. Everyone turned to look. And for a brief moment there was complete silence. Jake's face drained of color. Emily's mouth went dry. "What are you doing here?" Jake asked, his voice cold. The catering manager walked to the front and handed Emily a large envelope. "I think you'll want to see this," he said, his tone flat. Emily tore open the envelope, her hands trembling as she pulled out the contents. Her face shifted from confusion to shock, and then to rage. It was a cancellation notice. A legal document from the venue showing that their booking was in fact voided. The contract had been terminated due to unpaid fees, and a substantial fine had been added for the breach. The catering manager spoke up again. "You're lucky I came here to let you know. You should have paid attention to your obligations." It was at that moment, standing in front of a room full of people who had seen it all unravel, that Emily finally broke. I thought we were going to get married today," she whispered, the realization sinking in. Jake's face turned crimson. He stepped toward the catering manager, his anger flaring. "This is your fault. You were supposed to keep everything together." But the manager didn't flinch. "You should have been more responsible. But hey, I guess that's what happens when you treat people like disposable." I watched the scene unfold, feeling every ounce of satisfaction creep in. Jake and Emily had been so sure of themselves, so sure that they could manipulate everything around them without consequence. And now here they were with the walls closing in. Their perfect day crumbling to dust. But the most satisfying part, they had no one to blame but themselves. As the catering manager walked out, I caught Emily's eyes. There was a moment of quiet between us. She looked defeated, her smile gone, her confidence shattered for a second. I almost felt sorry for her. But then I remembered everything that had led up to this moment. And, oh, they didn't deserve my sympathy. They didn't deserve anything. The judge, sensing the tension, awkwardly cleared his throat and finished the ceremony as quickly as he could. No one clapped when they were declared married. In fact, the guests filed out as soon as the words were spoken, leaving Jake and Emily to face the consequences of their actions. I walked out of the room slowly, my heart pounding. The day had been a roller coaster of emotions. But in the end, I knew I had made the right choice. I had finally taken control of my own life and had made them pay for their disrespect. So I stepped outside. I couldn't help but smile to myself. It had been the perfect revenge. And as for Jake and Emily, they would never forget the lesson they learned that day.